the Hub Talk series. Now, within this series, what it is, I actually introduce you guys to a couple of my clients, and we get to talk about the importance of branding, why branding is a necessity versus a luxury. And more specifically, I always want to understand how my clients have been getting on, as much as we give, I give them work and so forth and helping them along the process. I actually want to hear back from them and equally share that message with you guys as well to understand why branding actually is a necessity versus a luxury to have, and why it's equally important to make sure that you're actually putting yourselves out there in a way that suits you, your beliefs, and what it is that you stand for. That being said, Marjorie, we have here Marjorie Peters, the lovely Marjorie Peters, who is not only what she likes to be called as a starseed, an ancient soul, but equally a person who is out here making sure that all those who have experienced unfortunate times, they're actually turning things around. They're actually putting things in place to make sure that, you know what, they're not staying still. It's about turning those past pains into future triumphs, right? Making it happen for themselves. And Marjorie has a very cool and unique way to be able to do so. That being said, Marjorie, welcome. Great having you on this session with me.
Thank you so much, Tanya, for having me. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor, and I'm grateful because it's not always that we get to connect this way, right? No. And what technology has done as well. I mean, we're thousands of miles away now, and we still get to do this. How amazing is that,
Oh, you gotta love technology. What it can do for a person, right?
Exactly. There is a slight delay in us coming on, but we did it, and that's just it, the way it is. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. That technology is here to test us. That's all I can say. It's here to test us, but at the same time, it's also here to push us forwards, right? And to help to make sure that we can increase the amount of communication that we have. That's why I love it. I know you love it too. Yeah. So, Marjorie, let's just get straight into it, right? So we have just a few minutes. I say a few minutes. We've got a good old 30 minutes or so. Just talking about what it is that you're getting up to more specifically, but two, the process, the journey that you had with me. Number one, thank you for allowing me on that journey with you. It was a cool and super transitional period for you, I know, at the time when we first started working together. In specific, how did you find the process? What was that like for you, that whole experience?
Well, first and foremost, I think I'm so grateful that I found you, because besides branding, right? I think one of the things that I realized as we were working together is that I had a certain set of beliefs and a certain message that I wanted to put out there.
Yes.
And I was a bit hesitant because sometimes, with branding, you can have the best person, but if the person doesn't get you, doesn't get your message, and if the person doesn't understand what you're all about, then, the whole process becomes a bit tricky. And I think what I realized with you is that as we worked together in the process, my fears got away, because every time you came back with me and you showed me something and I was just like, oh my God, Tanya, yes, you get me, And what I love about it is that we initially wanted to go with Divine Stars, right? And then you told me, no, Marjorie, we're going to go with Marjorie Peters. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. And you told me because it's your journey and you're teaching your wisdom. Mm-hmm. And so this is what I mean. When you have a brand specialist, you bring your ideas forward, but then the brand specialist just polishes it up, even make it to, to sound and look even better, and gets your message out there, and people get to understand you on a different level than, because sometimes we can't see ourselves, right? So we only know what we want, but from the specialist perspective, it's something different, So that's why the whole process, it was just like we started coming up with new things. And as we went along, and you told me, Marjorie, from what I see, the way you are, and this, and I was like, oh my God, yes, you get me, And so after that, I think I could just relax and like, you know what, Tanya's got it. Like I don't have to, tell her A, B, C, D, because she knows, she gets me. So I think that's one of the most important things that I realized, just besides branding itself, but working with the person, yeah, a person that gets you, that understands you, your values. And that is critical, because that person is going to help you put your message out there. So that's what I found really. I think I was blessed, because when we finally got everything done, and I told you, I was like, Tanya, I'm so jealous of my own website, because I was just like, I mean, for me, I'm the type of a person where I have the vision. I know what I want and all, but I need someone to get it down there into paper or website or whatever it is, because that's where the arts and graphics come in, because I have the vision, but I need you to understand that vision as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was amazing. Yeah.
I
got to
love
learn a lot about my brand myself as well.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is like self-discovery, right? For all those watching this, you can go a little woo-woo if you want to call it woo-woo, whatever it is. But at the same time, no, you need to be able to understand you to be able to get that message out there. Otherwise, how are you making any connection that works, And I think a lot of the time, some business owners are out here, or even coaches, or service-based business owners, or product-based business owners as well. They're out there making sure that, yes, they get the awareness of the product out there or the service out there. That's all great. However, how are you maintaining that connection, and how are you building on that connection even more specifically? And how are you encouraging that relationship to grow? Well, you do that by deep diving into what it is that you actually stand for with this product, with this service. And I love the process that we went on, Marjorie, like especially with you, like getting you out of your comfort zone. You have to get yourself a little bit uncomfortable, because if you're not willing to move forwards or budge a little bit forwards, then why should you expect your audience to as well?
Exactly. Yeah.
If you're not willing to put the steps in yourself, then why should your audience? So I always talk about the idea of leading by example, right? And this is how we do it, especially when it comes to branding. And Marjorie, like just going back onto your values, I know a lot of your values were based around the idea of healing, transformation, and
self-mastery
and self-mastery, right? Exactly that. So it's important to be able to get that out there in a way that equally also makes sense to your audience, because we know our terminology. We know, as the person creating the business or creating the craft or having the craft, building the craft, we know our terminology, but now it's making sure that the language that we're putting out there makes sense to the audience, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And how did you find that the whole idea of doing that in the first place? Because I know we were talking about when we were putting the wording together, especially on your website. So by the way, folks, so Marjorie has a website that, and equally also social media content that now pertains to the idea of who she is today, right? Not who she was, but who she is today. And yes, we do touch base on some of your story because we have to, right? You need to, so people can get the journey, so they can follow you and continuously move forwards and equally see themselves in you as well. But Marjorie, I wonder, how did you find that process of trying to just strip back a couple of things in terms of like the language aspect to be able to make sure that you get and hit home those pain points or those nurturing points as well? How did you find that?
See, what changed everything was the part where you told me, no, we're not going to go with Divine Stars. We're going to go with Marjorie Peters.
Yeah.
And because it's about you, it's about your journey, it's about your wisdom. And then when I started to put everything into words, and of course, a lot of the terminology that I use is very spiritual as well, and it's not something that you come across on a daily basis. But I tried to shift, and I told myself that, you know what, these words are going to come from the heart, because the language of the heart, anyone understands that. You can use whatever terminology you want, but when you put words out there that comes from the heart, people are just going to get it, And I'm a strong believer in energy. Everything is energy. So the words that I put out there and the process that we went through when rewriting everything, it's all about the energy that it's sending out and the people that are reading it, that's going to receive, and how that's going to touch their heart. So at the end of the day, whatever you're going to put out there, and in the business world, we have so many terminologies, right? And that's same in other industries as well. They all have their own terminology. And it sends a different vibration, a different energy when we use those terminologies. When I did mine, for me, it was simple, because when you told me that it's about you, your wisdom, I said, you know what? Everything out here is just going to come from the heart, and the people who reads it, they read it, they're going to get it, you know? Because the language of the heart is the language of the heart. Everyone gets it.
It's so true.
So something I discovered in that process as well.
So
that's what I mean. Again, you highlighted these things to me that made me think further, you know?
Yeah. It's so true. I think you have to do it, just take a little bit from here, from the heart, to just give it to somebody else, you know, to who really needs to be able to move themselves. And especially in, you know, helping the people that you help, there's so much in the idea of feeling stuck, and so much in the idea of feeling like, oh, well, who do I even turn to, or where do I even turn? So when you come at the with using the angle, sorry, of nurturing, of taking from the heart, you know, of giving from the heart rather, I think that then just helps that process, even for them, all the more easier to transition, because again, that's what you're helping them to do. You're helping them to move forwards. You're helping them to become unstuck, you know? And I think when people in general, when you're branding, this is a very, very key point to be thinking about in general. How are you really helping people? Because we always know about the surface level of what it is that we do, right?
Exactly.
And even like when I started, even when I started doing what I was doing, you know, I knew myself as a graphic designer, but that's essentially just the tool. Graphics is the tool. The way how I, you know, create the artwork, that's the tool, the process, if you like. But the real underlining thing is branding, and there's actually another layer underneath branding as well, you know? And it's getting to grips with that message. A lot of people stay away from the message, or a lot of people just do the surface level message, but no, we're actually helping so much more than that, you know? You're helping somebody to move and want to get up the next day. You're helping somebody to actually take action and actually do something for themselves rather than for somebody else the next day, you know? And again, it's keeping that idea of we are the example. So how are you going to showcase that, you know? How are you going to showcase that? How are you going to move with that? And how are you going to make it happen for them? But yeah.
I mean, Tanya, you see, what I love doing is I love turning people's pain into a blessing. And if we look today at what's going on in the world, we can have two perspectives.
Yeah.
The first one is to look at the world and to have hate and anger. Or the second perspective is to have a lens of love and compassion. And I choose to look at the world from love and compassion. And so if we realize that everything is connected, right? And we understand that. So whether it's marketing, whether it's branding, it's all going to come from the heart. It's the emotional connection that you want to have with your clientele. Because of everything that's going on out there now, all the more people are in pain. And when you look at the world from love and compassion, right, you just see a lot of pain out there, you know? And when there is pain out there, hurt people. But what we can learn from this is that healed people also heal people.
And we've experienced our fair share of hurt people, right?
Exactly.
And I love that point. Heal people to heal people, you know, and heal people.
You heal yourself, you heal the world, you know? And so we are all connected emotionally. And whether it's branding, it's marketing, when it comes from the heart, when there is emotional connection and energetic alignment, that takes things to a whole new level,
Mm,
you know?
mm,
And that's what I'm about, because I'm a very deep person in general. I
mm,
don't like doing things on a surface level. And that's why when I got to work with you, when you went deeper and you made me go deeper and you challenged me more as well to think, I was like, oh my God, I'm loving this so much. Yes, it took me out of my comfort zone. But what I discovered was like breakthroughs after breakthroughs, you know. And
mm,
I've had so many people come back to me telling me about my website and saying that, wow, you know, it's not a website, it's like a storybook.
mhm.
And that's what I want to hear. I
Yeah.
want to hear that my website's not a website, it's a storybook.
Mm,
And
mhm,
it inspires people.
mm,
Whether you jump on to work with me or not, that is a whole different that's a whole different thing.
mm.
But what you get out of just dropping by on my page and just that inspiration, do you know how much that means to me?
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean we're well connected.
Yeah.
We're all
I
connected.
think so. I think so. And you're right. And I think with especially with what it is that you do, it's all about just being inspired to just even just wake up a little bit.
Yeah,
Even just feel like you can and have that phrase in your own mind. Yeah, I can do. I
mm-hmm.
can make it. I can keep moving, and I think I love the aspect of the idea of it's become a story, the storybook type of thing, your digital storybook. In some senses, websites are that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to anything that you're putting out on social media, anything that you're putting out on your digital platforms, websites, landing pages, whatever that may be, it's always having that objective in mind. And for you, it was always about making sure that that person can now move forwards with understanding the
Exactly.
story. They will be
Yeah,
able to move forwards, like you said, whether
yeah,
it's moving you with you, or it's taking that next step forwards just themselves, because that's still an important step
exactly.
you know
Mm-hmm.
so I love that. I love the fact that that came back, that was the feedback with regards to it.
Oh, I
And
had so many lovely feedbacks, Tanya. I'm sorry, actually, I didn't get back to you on that. But
no,
oh,
that's fine.
I had really great feedbacks, and the best one was the storybook, and I didn't even think of it that way, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, I
Yeah,
don't think any of us did.
exactly,
It's like, no,
exactly.
we've got to make sure that your service gets out there. We've got to make sure that people understand what it is that you can do for them. So coming at it from that, that story aspect, essentially, yes, because people at the end of the day as well, when it comes to branding, people do need to resonate with your story. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember there's an anecdote, so I sort of tell in the sense where when it comes to Gordon Ramsay, for example, he had show that he was hosting, helping entrepreneurs in the catering space or hospitality space to literally just get themselves pitched. Imagine like the Alan Sugar version, or the whatchamacallit version of that, right? So Alan
Mm-hmm.
Sugar instead, but sorry, Gordon Ramsay instead of Alan Sugar, right? Of The Apprentice, that's what I'm trying to think of. But
Apprentice. Yeah.
imagine now, so there were two groups of people, and it was a competition between the two. One had an amazing, it was a cocktail that they had to come up with. They had an amazing taste and great taste, but they had no story. The other, not so much, good taste. However, the story was brilliant, and it was something that somebody could resonate with. And now,
Mm-hmm.
who do you think that they could,
Exactly.
resonate with?
Yeah.
And it was the person with the story, because people understood that story within themselves.
Yeah.
And we're all out here doing something similar. There is no
Mm-hmm.
new idea. However, the way we approach it, that's
Mm-hmm.
the unique part. The story behind it, that's the unique part. And being able to get it out there, and especially with you, Marjorie, I think it lends itself super well, and that feedback that you're getting knows helps you to know that you're on the right path as well, which is brilliant, which is brilliant. That was going to be actually one of my questions,
Thanks to
like what
you
was the
as well.
perception? Oh, bless you. But yeah, it's just good to know that yes, okay, cool, we're on the right path here. The objective that you had for it is doing that, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the key thing here. And actually, it leads me on to quite nicely. There's a big perception about branding. Number one, people don't quite understand it, which is okay. And one of my missions is to help people to understand it. but in
Okay.
bite-sized chunks. You know me, I'm always about delivering things in bite-sized chunks because I want you to understand it and I want you to remember it even more
Mm-hmm.
importantly. So whether it be on my YouTube, on my LinkedIn, on Instagram or Facebook, whatever that platform is, I'm helping to deliver it in bite-sized chunks, right?
Yeah.
So I want to understand from you now. The other misconception is that branding is a luxury and it's not a necessity. What is your opinion on that now after having gone through the process yourself?
Yeah, I mean, um, I can look at it from two different perspectives. Yeah, the first one
Mhm.
is from a business owner.
Yeah, yeah.
From a business owner, if I take me myself, and with you asking me to use my name, Marjorie Peters,
Mm,
it's an identity. Your brand is an identity of what you represent, what you stand for, and
mm,
what are your beliefs and your values, and the message that you want to send out there.
mm.
So it becomes your identity. It's like a human being without clothes. If you don't have branding, you get what I mean?
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
to put some clothes on for me to recognize you and figure you out a little bit at least, and not just see you naked and come up with my own conclusion,
What's going on? You know?
you know? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I, that's why for me, it's an identity. So, what are you all about? So, that's from a business perspective. This is what I'm all about. And this is the message. And this is my service or my product, whatever it is. But then you have the other perspective of the consumer, yeah, the clientele. Are
Mm,
they receiving the right message again of what you are trying to send out? That identity again, is it connecting? Because you can have your identity in your head and what my brand's all about. But then the consumer, your clients, are they getting what you're trying to say now as well?
yeah.
So that's why, again, people like you, the specialist, comes in again to
Hmm.
make sure it aligns.
Hmm.
So they need to get the identity of your business, of
Yeah.
your product or your service, what you're all about. It's your identity. So it's not about being a luxury or something. It's to be known. Okay, let me give you an example. If I ask you, Tanya, uh, when I say red, what comes to your mind?
Mm, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
When I say red, what comes
Oh, do
to
you
your
want me
mind?
to? I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
yeah, I'm
want
just
you to
getting
answer.
involved. When
What
I,
comes to
for
your
me, it's
mind?
power. It's power.
It's
Red.
power. So
Yeah.
everyone has their perspective, right? If
Hmm.
you ask me red, I will say Coca-Cola,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So
Mm.
it's about getting that right message out there about your identity and for people to recognize that no, it's not power, it's not Coca-Cola, it's this.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah. I
So
totally
that's why
get it.
it's not a luxury. It's you, your company, your baby.
Mm.
And for me, even as a consumer, when I look at a brand, I have an emotional attachment to it. Now
Mm.
we're going one layer deeper because, as I said, everything again is energy.
Oh my
And
goodness. Yeah.
so, energy, when we send out this message, for example, my favorite brand's Hermes. And for
Mm.
me, when I think of Hermes, I go into the archetype of heritage, of luxury. And that's the message that they want to send out, and that's the message that I get. You
Mm.
see? And I've asked people, when I say Marjorie, what do you think of? Because I want to know what people think of
Mhm.
of
I'm glad
Marjorie
you asked that.
Peters, right?
Yeah.
And they say love
Mm.
and energy, because I always talk about energy, and some even said energy queen.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I had so many ethereal as well.
Mm.
And but the first one was always love, angel,
I
angelic.
strongly agree with that. And that was actually one of your values. Do you remember when we did the exercise? That was
Yes,
one of
love.
your values.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was one of the first things that came to me. And so when I ask people and they respond that way, then I know that, okay, my brand, the identity is correct now. We're both aligned now.
Mm.
You're getting it and
Yeah.
I'm sending out the
Yeah.
right message, right? So that's how we connect. And on a subconscious level, again, it registered because why? On a, energetically, it influences us on the subconscious level. That's why Coke uses red, and red is always Coke. you know, or if you're a sportsman or something, F1, it's Ferrari, right? Red is
Yeah,
always, oh, the first thing you think about is Ferrari.
yeah, yeah.
That's how it goes. So it goes into our subconscious, and a lot of consumers don't realize that. Because
It's
again, energy, it's all about the energy that you put into your brand, that identity that you want to send out.
It's true. And it's an element of repetition as well. They do that. So now when you are out and about, when you're seeing random red things, for example, we're on that color, right? When you see random red things, subconsciously your mind is in the back of in the back of your head, your mind is thinking Coke or Ferrari or whatever power or energy or something, whatever red means to you. Your mind just
Exactly.
naturally does it. It naturally goes there,
That's all
you
your
know?
subconscious, yeah.
Mm.
Because
It's
energy goes into your subconscious.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's cool, even like you talking about the symbols that we have that always pop up, I love the fact that when people come across you, they think of love, they think
Yeah.
of all these different key
Oh,
words,
it warms
right?
my heart when I hear
Yeah,
that, you know?
because
Yeah.
of that. And again, where I shared about like that part of the exercise that we did, that was one of your major values, right? Love was one
Mhm.
of your major ones, and more so giving love. So by the way, folks,
Exactly.
whenever you're thinking about your values, there's different levels of it, right? So with Marjorie, yes, it's love, but is it giving love or is it receiving love? And for Marjorie, it was giving love, right? Because then that still determines a different kind of an outcome for you, whichever route
Mhm.
that you go down.
Mhm.
And I think when you get to understand what that is for yourself in general, that's what starts making the changes in the outcomes for your websites, for your social media, again, for any kind of printed material that you've got going on. Just really just hitting home on the idea of, is it the giving or is it the receiving? Or maybe
Mhm.
it's a bit of both, which is absolutely fine. When it comes to the idea of freedom, for example, is it feeling free or is it having the freedom to do stuff?
Yeah.
Freedom of mind, peace of mind. You got to go there with yourself. And yeah,
It's
you
all
might think
very
it's a bit of a
relative.
yeah, it's super relative. And
Yeah.
to some it may think, be like a lengthy process, but no, it's a process that needs to be had in order to start putting that message out there that
Mhm.
resonates with the people that you want to work with. And
Exactly. And that's
already.
why I think branding, it's not a luxury. It's you, it's your identity, it's your baby. Your business is your baby, especially for a business owner. And you want to make sure that you're giving and sending out that right message, you know?
That's
I
so
think
very
it's so important, especially for the work that I do, right? I mean, I don't consider myself what I do. I don't consider it as work really, because it brings me so much of fulfillment and joy.
true. Mm,
But what I do, it's so important to me that my clients
mm.
understand what I'm all about and what
Yeah,
I'm here to serve, you know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
what this represents and what they are also getting themselves
Mm.
into, you know. Because I
Do you
mean,
think it's
there's so
helped
many
you?
coaches out there,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
it's what you're aligned with and what you resonate with.
Absolutely, absolutely that. And do you think that the way how you now help your clients, do you think that's changed a little bit because you've now understood your brand a little bit more?
Of course, it has. It's changed a lot because as I go along,
Mm,
I'm hearing a lot of feedback as well. And that
mm,
feedback is also giving me ideas on other outputs from my brand that I can venture out into this, into this, into this, you know? So it's sort of creating branches from this beautiful root that I've planted, and now all the little branches are growing out, and it's just giving me sparks and ideas, and actually that's what I've been doing as well. I've been working on a lot of little
mm.
projects, and
I love it. I
this
love it.
is all based on feedback again of my brand. And some people, they even suggest like, oh, you should do this and you should do that, or you know, but then you got to stick true to yourself, because certain things go, I'm really against like marketing and pushing yourself, and
Mm,
I find those are very surface level
yeah, yeah.
businesses, sorry to say that, but I can see right through people when it's genuine and when it's not.
Yeah.
And I'm not one to be online and start pushing my business. For me, with you just resonating with what I say, and even if that's just that one word of love that you get from me, that means a lot to me, because I've done my part now.
Yeah, it's so
But
true.
that's what it's about, the bigger picture, really.
Yeah.
When you do a business, you provide a service, it's about the bigger picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so important with the
Yeah.
branding, so important.
And I'm glad you touched base on the idea of marketing because, as you know, branding is not marketing, it's something completely different,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But essentially it feeds into marketing, otherwise, how do you know what to say within your marketing? So where you've had those experiences where you can see right through them, I bet 9 times out of 10 they haven't really addressed what their branding really means to their themselves, or more specifically to their client, right?
What you all about.
Yeah, what you're all about, because that's where they just need to tweak a couple of things, tweak the message, right? And
I
the
bet you
difference.
that's the time they're going to roll out, these are the courses I have.
Yeah. By the way, yeah. So this is what I do, and this is why I do it. Like, no, how no, you know,
No, stop.
it's a little bit different. It's just a little bit different, and I think ever and you mentioned where post pandemic especially, I think now more than ever people want to feel that connection,
Exactly.
and they really need to be able to understand that and really get to grips with it. But before we wrap up, I want you to, well, just share with me really, when if somebody talks to you about branding, right? Just somebody who's considering it maybe, or what would be your message to them? What would be your message to them?
Well, if we were to have a discussion about
Yeah.
branding, I would definitely share my experience with them on my process of building my brand,
Mm.
and definitely encourage them, and perhaps maybe even help them, brainstorm with them. And of course, I have a lovely person that I can introduce to, if they're interested to
Yeah.
work, and to deepen their knowledge of who, or what their business is all about. Because when you work with someone, you are also researching your own brand and what you're all about. You're looking at your values as well, what you stand
It's true.
for.
It's so
What's your mission statement?
mm, mm,
So I mean, yeah, I think that's what I would do. I would really encourage people to, marketing. I think branding is so much more important than marketing.
You need the
And I
branding
would I
against the
would
marketing.
definitely advise them to focus on your branding and what you're all about
Mm-hmm,
than marketing your product, because anybody can market a product out there.
mm-hmm,
Anybody can do that. But what the brand is all about and what you're there to do and serve. And if you are looking long term, you're going to build your brand.
mm-hmm.
Marketing is just very short to the point. You pay the money, I deliver you the service or the product, or
Yeah.
and it's done.
The
But
vehicle,
branding
right?
is a different ball game, and that's probably what I'll advise whoever I'm talking to about branding, because that's more important than marketing, at least in my view.
Yeah, yeah. Sure. And thank you for sharing that, by the way. And what I love, I was actually speaking to somebody the other day, in the sense where, obviously we're out here networking, we're all about talking. Okay, if somebody asked me a specific question, what would that question be, so that I know how to help them and point them in your direction? And then that just got me thinking, yeah, what would that question be, right? So if you're
Yeah.
ever out there trying to just network or help somebody, when it comes to, for example, for me, the question that I would say, if anybody comes to you thinking, do you know what, I'm not quite getting the responses that I'm looking for, or I'm not quite, I just a little bit stuck as to know what to put out there, well, then I'd know that those are the questions that I need to listen out for when I think that they need help with their branding. What do you
Mm-hmm.
think the questions are for you, Marjorie? When somebody's out here talking about what they're going through and whatnot, what are those specific questions that you want to listen out for to know how you can help them?
The number one word I think would be pain.
Mm,
But sadly enough, a lot of us don't admit that we're in pain, right?
yeah, yeah,
We tend to suppress that emotion.
yeah.
But I think I'm lucky, I'm blessed,
Hmm.
that I can see when someone is in pain.
Hmm.
But the other word would be I feel stuck, or
Mm,
I don't know where to start.
hmm.
Or I've even had someone ask me, what is self-mastery all about?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah.
even transformation, if that word comes out, transformation, ooh, that rings a bell as well. Like, or it could be simple as, you know what, something's got to change.
Mm.
I'm done with this life now. I need a change.
Mm-hmm.
And bam, that's where you step in. You're like, you found the right person.
Yeah.
I'm always so happy and excited when someone tells me I want to change. I'm like, come on, let's do this,
Let's change.
Let's change.
Let's
Change
make
is
that change
always good.
happen.
I mean, so far, I think I've been really good with my clients because nobody has really cursed me yet because I've really pulled them out of their comfort zones.
Yeah, good.
But the feedback I get was it was tough, it was challenging, but it was good. I see the result, and I'm like, great, that's what I want to hear. At the end of the day, I just want to see that smile. I want to see that smile again.
I love
And
that.
I want that pain to go away because there's so much of pain in the world today. And there's so much. And why do you think everything is happening now in the world? Because people are in pain. And when you're in pain, you suppress your emotions, right? And you become emotionless.
Mm-hmm.
And when you become emotionless, you act on
Mm.
your hurt. You come from a wounded place, therefore you don't care about other people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when you come from love and compassion, you can understand why people are behaving a certain way.
Yeah. They're not dealing with the healing process.
Exactly.
So
So
then
all
you
the
go
more they need
into
to
different
send.
situations and you haven't
Yeah.
really healed from, how do you expect to move forward sometimes if
Yeah.
you haven't at least acknowledged or addressed what happened in the past, or do you know what I mean? And I know sometimes the past can be a painful experience
It
to
is.
remember, but now how can you, I guess, help yourself to want to move forwards from it, you know?
The best tip that I can give for everyone that's listening is when you look at the past, be very neutral and just ask yourself, what is the wisdom that I can take from this? That's all.
Mm-hmm.
And you move on.
Yeah.
That's the best way.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. And by the way, folks, please visit Marjorie's website. So it's www.marjoriepeters.co.uk. And I will drop a little link as to how to obviously directly go there. But Marjorie, how else can people find out about you, in terms of like what it is that you're doing or just to follow you in general? What's that general platform that you're going to be on mostly?
Besides my website, I'm on Instagram. I've shut down my Facebook page. Social media is just too much for me at the moment. So I only go on my Instagram to post videos because my only aim is to help people, and then I'm off the platform. So the best way to get in touch with me is through Instagram, Marjorie Peters _ or through my website, where you can drop me an email.
Absolutely. Brilliant. I love that. Well, thank you, Marjorie. It's been cool having this conversation with you. Yeah, folks, any questions that you have, please go ahead and drop them underneath this video. Equally, share with us what was your biggest takeaway from this? What was the biggest takeaway? For me, I'm always, as much as get to work with my clients, I'm always learning something new from them, and just hearing their processes, hearing their journeys, even after having finished the project, right? That's the part that I love hearing about. Yes, the journey, obviously working with me, absolutely, but I love hearing the results, the continued results that keep happening. And it's not just a one-time thing, it's a continuous thing. And I love hearing about that. So Marjorie, thank you for sharing that with me. Specifically. But folks, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching this particular session, in fact. And we'll see you on the other side. Take care, guys.
Thank you so much for having me, Tanya.
Bye.
Love and light.